Before we begin, I want to speak directly to your heart. Don't click away, don't scroll past, don't walk off just yet, because this is a word you need to hear from beginning to end. It's not just encouragement, it's a prophetic lifeline. You've been calling it brokenness, but heaven calls it blueprint. You've been labeling it failure, but God calls it foundation. You've mistaken the wreckage as rejection, when in truth, it's been redirection. You are not broken, you are not broken, you are being rebuilt, layer by sacred layer, brick by holy brick. What you thought was the end is actually where heaven started to move most deeply. You see, God doesn't abandon vessels, He values. And though it may feel like everything around you is shattered, the relationship ended, the job fell through, the door closed, the friends disappeared, God is not done. He's not angry with you. He's not ignoring you. He's not punishing you. He's preparing you. Because the version of you that's coming out of this won't look like the version of you that walked into it. The you that was codependent is becoming courageous. The you that questioned your worth is becoming rooted in truth. The you that tried to earn love is being rebuilt to embody love. And it's happening through the breaking. But don't confuse brokenness with being abandoned. God is closer in the rubble than you've ever known Him in the routine. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." That means if your spirit feels crushed, then heaven is not far. In fact, God is in the middle of it. He's gathering every shard of disappointment and refashioning it into something stronger. Where the world sees ruins, God sees a resurrection. Sight. He's not discarding you, He's redesigning you. And though you may not understand the process now, the pain is not purposeless. This is not destruction. This is divine construction. When a building is no longer safe, they tear it down to rebuild a new one with stronger bones, deeper foundations, and a capacity to hold greater weight. That's what's happening inside of you. You are being spiritually reinforced. You may not feel stable, but God is still steady. You may not know what comes next, but He's already seen the outcome. And when God is rebuilding, He starts by stripping away what no longer serves, the new structure, old identities, old patterns, old fears, old trauma cycles. And yes, it hurts. It hurts to lose what you thought you needed. It hurts to feel exposed. It hurts to let go of what once felt like safety. But what you don't realize is that those things were scaffolding, not structure. They were temporary supports, not your foundation. And when God rebuilds you, He removes the temporary to make room for the eternal. Isaiah 61:3 says, He gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, and a garment of praise for a spirit of despair. That is not a poetic metaphor, that's a spiritual transaction, and God is offering it to you right now. The enemy tried to convince you that because something broke, you are broken. But I declare to you today, you are not a ruin, you are a remodel. God is refining you in the fire, and what's coming out of this process will glorify Him like never before. This is not weakness, this is wisdom being formed through surrender. This is not failure, this is faith growing under pressure. And I know it's not easy. Healing rarely is. The rebuilding process feels like you're being undone. But the truth is, you're being redefined. Every crack in your story is a space for God's glory to leak through. Every ache is evidence that something real happened, and now something greater is on its way. You may feel like you've lost everything, but God is establishing something. He doesn't rebuild with shame, He rebuilds with purpose. He doesn't use your pain against you. He uses it to promote you. You are not behind. You are becoming. You are not late. You are aligning. This moment is sacred, and this season is significant, because the hand of God is not just rescuing you, it's reconstructing you. He's doing work beneath the surface. You may not see it, others may not understand it, but heaven is in motion on your behalf, and when the rebuilding is done, you will emerge with a testimony that no one can take from you. You'll stand where you once fell. You'll speak with authority where you once felt small. You'll worship louder in the very places where you once wept in silence. This is not the end. This is not the edge of your value. This is not the conclusion of your purpose. This is just the beginning of a rebuilding that's going to shock. Every room you walk into, you will rise from this. And when you do, the strength, the wisdom, the power, the presence you'll carry, it won't just make sense. It'll make history. You may be wondering why life had to go this way. Why it seemed like the more you prayed, the more things unraveled. Why the more you surrendered, the more things slipped through your fingers. You asked for healing, but it felt like more pain. You asked for clarity, but confusion visited instead. You said, "Lord, make me strong," and instead of feeling strength, you were stripped. But here is the deeper truth most people miss in their breaking. God didn't let it fall apart to harm you. He let it fall apart so you could fall into His hands. You were never being destroyed. You were being delivered from versions of you that could not carry the next level. From people who only loved your survival, not your spirit. From patterns that kept you circling the same mountain. From expectations that were never God's design. And that fall, that breaking, that tearing apart of everything you thought you needed, it didn't take you out, it brought you back. Because let's be honest, sometimes we cling so tightly to what we thought. With stability, we can't hear God say, "I have better." And we don't let go until our hands bleed. We don't release until we've been emptied. But the grace of God is this: He will catch you in the very place you thought you were collapsing. And not only will He catch you, He will carry you. Through the rebuilding, this part hurts, I know. The part where you realize you had to lose something to find yourself. The part where you sit in silence and grieve things that didn't honor your growth. The part where no one really gets what you're going through, and you have to learn how to lean into divine presence instead of human approval. But beloved, this season is not God's punishment, it is His preparation. He is rebuilding you into someone who doesn't chase love to feel valuable. He is restoring the pieces of you that burned out trying to be everything for everyone. He is reaching into the brokenness and saying, "This too is a place I can use." And the truth is, what broke your heart won't break your destiny. What left you doesn't get to limit you. What failed didn't cancel your future, because the God who formed you never stopped fighting for you. And sometimes, the collapse is the greatest kindness, because it pulls you out of what was killing you softly. It removes the false stability. It clears the emotional clutter. It shuts the doors you were too tired to close yourself. Jeremiah 18:4 says, "The vessel he was making of clay was spoiled in the potter's hand, and he reworked it into another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to do." Do you see it? You were never thrown away. You were remade. And that reshaping may feel like breaking, but it's actually becoming, and becoming hurts. Becoming is messy. Becoming means facing the truth that some people only loved the unhealed you. Some only stayed because you played small. Some only clapped when you were convenient. And when you started to evolve, they withdrew. That's not your fault. That's your freedom. Let God use the silence. Let Him rebuild your confidence, not in people, but in purpose. Let Him pull you close and whisper again what you forgot in the noise. You are not forsaken. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. You are exactly where heaven knew you'd be when it crafted your calling. You are not on a detour. You are in divine development. And the enemy's greatest attack has always been to make you believe that if something broke, it means you're broken. But God says, that's a lie. You're not broken. You're becoming bold. You're not ruined. You're being rooted. You're not done. You're just deep in the rebuild. There's power in this part of your process. The quiet healing. The unseen victories. The days you get up and still believe when nothing looks like the promise. Isaiah 58 bending 12 says, you will be called repairer of the breach, restorer of streets to dwell in. That means your life is not only being rebuilt, it's becoming rebuilding for others. You'll carry restoration in your voice, peace in your walk, healing in your presence. The oil of your process will anoint others who thought they wouldn't survive theirs. You are not a waste. You are a wonder. You are not a mess. You are a message. And even though it may take time, even though some days you feel tired of the journey, I need you to hear me. You're being rebuilt into someone you never thought possible. You're going to smile without forcing it, breathe without battling, walk without wondering if you belong. You're not just healing, you're being equipped, not just restored, but reinforced. Because what God is doing in you this time won't crumble under pressure. You're being built to last. You've been carrying your pain like a silent weight, holding back tears because you're afraid they'll drown you. You've worn your strength like armor, convincing everyone you're okay when your soul is tired of pretending. You don't just feel broken, you feel forgotten. And I came with a word from heaven today to break that lie. You're not forgotten, you're being forged. You're not broken, you're becoming brave. The very things you're ashamed of, the moments you try to hide, the scars you think disqualify you, God is using every one of them to rebuild a masterpiece. Your wounds do not mean you failed. They mean you fought. They mean you survived every battle meant to destroy your joy. They mean you kept walking when no one else saw the fight in your footsteps. They mean you kept showing up when grief tried to sit you down. That heartbreak, you outlived it. That betrayal, you healed more than they ever apologized. That loss, it didn't take your faith, it refined it. Don't let the enemy lie to you. You're not weak because you cried. You're not behind because it's hard. You're not broken because you have moments where it still hurts. You are human, and you are healing. 2 Coríntios 4:8-9 says, we are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. That's you. You've been struck down, but you're still here. You've been through more than most people know, and yet somehow there's still light in your eyes. And I want you to know that the darkness didn't win. It tried, but it didn't, because God has been building in secret what He's about to reveal in glory. You thought it was just pain, but it was preparation. You thought it was rejection, but it was refinement. You thought you were stuck, but heaven was anchoring you so you wouldn't drift into what wasn't yours. This process may feel slow, but it's sacred. And when God rebuilds something, He doesn't rush it. He lays every beam in purpose, every stone in truth, every frame in love. Because what He's building in you can't collapse when storms come. He's building something eternal, something immovable. But here's the part we don't like to talk about. Healing doesn't always feel holy. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it feels like grief and growth colliding at the same time. One minute you're worshipping, the next minute you're weeping. One moment you're strong, the next you're shattered. But it's okay, because even in that, you're still being rebuilt. God is not intimidated by your process. He is patient in it. He's not disappointed in your weakness. He's drawing near to it. Psalm 147:3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." That's the kind of rebuilding he does. Gentle, personal, intentional. He's not rushing you to look like you're okay. He's inviting you to be honest in his presence. There's no need to hide your process from a God who already saw the breakdown and planned the breakthrough. He knows every sleepless night, every prayer you couldn't finish, every moment you almost gave up. And still, he said, "I'm not finished with you yet." And hear me, the same hands that hold the galaxies are holding your heart right now. The same voice that called Lazarus out of the grave is calling you out of despair. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is reviving what life tried to bury in you. You are not beyond repair. You are not too damaged. You are not too late to be made new. You are not forgotten in the mess. You are marked by mercy, chosen for rebuilding, selected for restoration, anointed for a future that makes all this worth it. So breathe, loosen your grip, let go of the timeline. Stop replaying the past. Let yourself be remade. Let God use the rubble. Let him turn your wounds into windows of his glory. The version of you coming out of this will be stronger, softer, wiser, freer. The version of you emerging won't need validation to believe they matter, won't shrink to stay accepted, won't lose sleep over people who were never equipped to love your wholeness. Because the new you, the rebuilt you, you'll know your worth. You'll walk in purpose. You'll trust again, not because it's easy, but because you've been rebuilt with discernment. You'll love again, not out of desperation, but out of fullness. You'll dream again, not recklessly, but prophetically. This isn't a setback, it's a sacred setup. You are not broken. You are becoming something God won't let fail. There's a certain kind of pain that comes when you don't just lose things, but lose people. The friends who drifted, the relationship that ended when you were finally opening your heart, the silence from people you poured so much love into, the door that closed with no warning, the betrayal that came from someone you never suspected. And if you're honest, it shook you. It felt like you weren't just being broken, you were being abandoned. But I came to tell you this truth with all the gentleness and fire of heaven. God is not removing to punish you. He's removing because your calling has outgrown their capacity. You're not broken, you're being upgraded. And that upgrade can't come with the same attachments that tried to delay your growth. Sometimes God has to subtract before he multiplies. He has to empty before he fills. He has to pull you out of old cycles so he can usher you into new wholeness. And it's not that those people were all bad. It's not that the past seasons were all wrong. But God knew what you didn't. That if they stayed, you'd keep shrinking. If they lingered, you'd keep compromising. If the door didn't close, you would have called it home when it was really just a hallway. So God, in his mercy, allowed the breaking, not to leave you broken, but to protect what's about to be birthed through you. John 15:2 says, "He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful." It hurts, yes, but pruning is proof of promise. You are growing into someone who cannot be manipulated by shallow love. You are becoming someone who doesn't chase what isn't rooted. You are walking into a space where your calling can breathe, and that means some things had to be cleared out. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. You're not forgotten. You're being filtered, because not everyone can handle the healed you. Not everyone wants to see you rebuild in power. Not everyone is equipped to handle the weight of what God is preparing you for. And that's okay, because what God is doing now is not about popularity. It's about purpose. And here's the deeper layer. You can't rebuild on foundations that God never laid. You can't build a future on the opinions of those who never saw your full value. You can't pour oil into cracked jars and expect it not to leak. And so, God is sealing the leaks. He's stripping the false identities. He's detoxing your heart from emotional dependencies that kept you bound. He's removing voices that spoke fear when he was trying to plant faith. And yes, it's lonely sometimes. The in-between always is. The rebuilding process often feels like a wilderness. Silent, slow, sacred. But don't mistake God's silence for absence. He's closer now than ever. Isaiah 43 minutes and 19 seconds declares, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." And that's what's happening. A new thing. A new version of you. A new level of peace. A new depth of discernment. A new circle of people who love you with truth, not condition. A new alignment with heaven's pace and heaven's plan. But the new cannot emerge without the removal. And this is where many people give up. Not because they're weak, but because they try to rebuild while still reaching back. They try to move forward while still apologizing for growing. But you can't rebuild the future while clinging to the past. At some point, you have to decide, do I want their comfort or God's calling? Let this be the moment you choose the calling. Let this be the moment you stop explaining why you changed and start embracing who God is forming you into. Because what's ahead requires your full heart. Not half healed, not half present, not half believing. God is rebuilding you so that when the new season comes, you won't sabotage it, you won't question it, you won't lose yourself trying to earn love. You'll walk boldly in it because you'll know it's not something you manipulated. It's something heaven sent. And yes, it's okay to miss what you had. It's okay to grieve who left. But don't pitch your tent in the graveyard of what God has called you out of. Don't keep rehearsing memories that only delay your movement. There is so much ahead, and your healing is not behind you. It's within you. You're not rebuilding to become someone new. You're returning to the version of you that was. Always inside, whole, worthy, called, and covered by grace. Let this process finish its work. Let God remove what he must. Let him rebuild what's been buried under years of pretending. Because the finished version of you, the one on the other side of this pain, that version is dangerous to hell, healing to others, and holy to the kingdom. Keep going. You're not broken. You're being positioned for breakthrough. You've cried enough tears to fill rivers. You've fought through storms no one knew about. You've shown up in rooms with a smile when your heart was aching. You've served others while secretly wondering who would notice your silent suffering. You've battled invisible weights, walked through emotional deserts, and carried wounds that still haven't found language. And yet, you're still here. You didn't break, you didn't disappear, you didn't quit. And that's not because you're superhuman, it's because heaven is holding you. God's strength has been your survival. His mercy has been your breath. His love has been your anchor. And whether you realize it or not, you are standing in the middle of a miracle. And this miracle is not loud. It's not obvious. It's not televised. This miracle is you still believing, you still becoming, you still breathing. Even after life tried to bury you under broken dreams and delayed promises. Let's be honest. You've questioned if it's worth it. You've wondered if the healing would ever feel real. You've asked God, how long? More times than you can count. You've doubted the process, felt embarrassed by your progress, and wrestled with the idea of giving up entirely. But even in that, God stayed. He didn't walk away when you got tired. He didn't give up when you got silent. He didn't abandon you when your faith got fragile. He has held you through every breaking. He has carried you through every valley. And if you could only see how many angels have surrounded you, how many attacks God blocked that never even reached you, how many days He sent strength just in time, you would realize that you are not weak. You are watched over, and that is why you're still here. Isaiah 41 banding 10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." That's not poetic, that's a promise. And you've been living in the fulfillment of it, even when it didn't feel like it. Because being rebuilt doesn't always feel like being renewed. Sometimes it feels like being stripped, being emptied, being reshaped in silence, being redefined in solitude. And that's where you've been, in the quiet construction of God's grace. It doesn't always look like glory, but it is glory in the making. This is the part of the process that most people can't see. The part where your smile returns slowly, where your faith flickers back into flame, where your voice comes back with more clarity, where you start dreaming again, praying again, hoping again. You may not feel like you're soaring yet, but you're healing in motion. Don't dismiss the beauty of your resilience just because it's taking longer than you wanted. Heaven is not late. God is not confused. He knows what He's doing with your life, and He hasn't forgotten a single detail. Every delay, every tear, every lonely night, He saw it, and He's not wasting any of it. Maybe this is the first time in a long time you're starting to believe that you're worth loving again, that your story is not over, that the rejection didn't cancel your destiny, that the people who couldn't love you weren't your home, they were your classroom. Maybe you're realizing that God never needed you to be perfect, He just needed you to be present, because He doesn't build from perfection, He builds from pieces. He builds from what's been shattered. He builds from surrendered ruins. That's His specialty, making beauty from ashes, rebuilding from what's been dropped, crushed, or cast aside. And here's the truth. No matter who left, what failed, or how long you've been waiting, God's hand has never left your life. And even if you feel like you're walking alone right now, the Holy Spirit is right beside you, whispering, "Don't give up now. You're closer than you think." This weariness won't last forever. This isolation isn't punishment. It's preparation. God isn't just fixing what hurt you. He's fortifying what will carry you into your next chapter. You're not stuck. You're in progress. You're not defeated. You're developing. And I know it gets hard to keep standing when nothing around you looks like the promise God gave you. But even if your knees are shaking, even if your voice is cracking, stand anyway. Cry and stand. Pray and stand. Shake and stand. Because every second you choose to stand, heaven releases strength. And no, you may not feel strong yet, but you're stronger than you think. You've survived every single thing that was supposed to break you. And not only did you survive, you're starting to rise. Psalm 18:35 says, "You make your saving help my shield, and your right hand sustains me. Your help has made me great." That means your greatness doesn't come from grinding harder. It comes from grace holding you, from God lifting you when you had nothing left, from His Spirit reminding you that no matter how painful this rebuilding is, it's proof you were never abandoned. So walk forward today knowing this: you are still standing. And you're not standing by chance, you're standing by design. You are here because heaven held you, and heaven will continue to hold you until the vision becomes visible, until the pieces become purpose, until your scars become stories that set others free. You are not broken, you are becoming unshakable. The most powerful shift in your life happens when you stop asking, "Why did they do this to me?" and start asking, "God, who are you making me through this?" Because pain has a way of trying to rename you. Trauma tries to teach you that you're not safe. Heartbreak whispers that you're not lovable. Delay lies to you and says, "God forgot." But the truth, the real truth, is this: you are not the version of yourself that pain tried to cement. You are becoming the version God originally designed, before the betrayal, before the disappointment, before the loss. And yes, it hurts. But that pain isn't permanent. It's part of the process of peeling back layers that never belonged to you. You were never meant to carry the weight of needing to prove your worth. You were never meant to live in fear of rejection. You were never meant to believe that love meant you had to shrink. No, you were made for truth, for fullness, for healing, for fire, for wholeness. And now, God is restoring what life tried to steal. You are not going backward. You are not stuck in survival. You are in the season where God is extracting the lie and planting identity. And that doesn't mean you won't still feel the ache. But now, the ache no longer owns you. Now the pain no longer defines you. Now you get to respond differently. Romans 8:18 reminds us, "The sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." That means there is glory in you, even when you're tired, even when you're doubting, even when the tears still fall. You don't have to feel like fire to carry fire. You just have to keep yielding, keep surrendering what pain tried to define, and keep allowing God to rewrite your identity from the inside out. See, this rebuilding is not about fixing what was wrong. It's about revealing what was right all along. The strength you always had, the voice you buried, the dreams you abandoned because someone else couldn't handle them, the love you gave so freely, even when it wasn't returned. God saw it all, and He's not going to let it be wasted. The healing you're stepping into now is going to give birth to things you didn't even know you were capable of. And you don't need a perfect track record to walk into this next chapter. You just need permission. And guess what? God already gave it. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to grieve the past without being bound to it. You're allowed to forgive without giving access again. You're allowed to rebuild at your own pace. You're allowed to take up space. Because the version of you that God is building now doesn't apologize for being healed. This version of you doesn't shrink just to be liked, doesn't perform to be loved, doesn't chase people who walk away. This version of you is rooted, anchored, centered in the truth of who you are, not because you earned it, but because God never changed His mind about you. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you're not where you used to be. And that's not small. That's not insignificant. That's evidence of the hand of God on your life. Because let's be real, the enemy didn't just try to distract you. He tried to erase you, tried to convince you that your story was too messy, too complicated, too painful to carry purpose. But you're still here, still breathing, still moving, still rising. Not because you had all the answers, but because heaven never let go. And now the enemy is terrified. Not because you're perfect, but because you survived. Because you're starting to believe again. Because you're waking up to the fact that your healing carries power. That your scars don't make you less anointed, they make you dangerous. That your broken seasons are now your breakthrough stories. That the same mouth that once cried in despair now declares freedom. And when the healed you opens your mouth, hell shakes. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "If anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here." And this is your moment to live that truth. No more looking back. More staying small. No more letting shame sit in the front seat of your story. This is the moment where you walk into the new. Not because you've got it all figured out, but because you're no longer trying to do it without God. You've stopped performing, and now you're partnering. You've stopped pretending, and now you're becoming. This version of you doesn't need validation to breathe, doesn't need applause to move, doesn't need permission to heal. You've been through too much to go back to what broke you. You've cried too many tears to question whether you're allowed to laugh again. You've fought too hard to give up just because it's hard. You are not who the pain tried to make you. You are who grace is forming. You are not broken, you are being reintroduced. And this reintroduction isn't for them, it's for you. So you can finally see yourself the way heaven does. Whole, anointed, worthy, called, equipped, and completely rebuilt in glory.